What if one day, while brushing your teeth, you locked eyes with yourself in the mirror, and that self blinked first? Welcome to What If Horizons, the podcast where hypothetical madness meets satirical reality. And today, we spiral into one of the juiciest rabbit holes the universe dares to offer. What if you discovered a parallel version of yourself? Not just another you in a metaphorical sense. Not you if you had taken that art scholarship, or you if you had actually texted them back, but a literal you. Flesh, blood, bones, secrets, and all, standing across the room, breathing your air, wearing a better outfit. Let's begin where all multiversal chaos does, in a basement. Because naturally, the discovery of your interdimensional twin doesn't happen in a lab or a government bunker. No, it starts where weird things always happen. Beneath a suburban home with bad lighting and an unfinished drywall job. You're down there, looking for your high school yearbook to prove to your teenage nephew that you used to be cool, when you notice something odd behind an old IKEA wardrobe, a draft. Which is strange, because you don't remember there being a window, or a door, or anything really. Curiosity, being the masochistic thrill seeker that it is, gets the better of you. You move the wardrobe, and there it is, a small, pulsating circle of rippling air. A ripple that seems to whisper, not audibly, but psychologically, in the language of sci-fi binge watchers and caffeine-fueled conspiracy theorists. A whisper that says, you're not the only you. Naturally, you do what any rational person would do. You poke it with a broomstick. When the broomstick doesn't explode or return covered in goo, you, of course, crawl inside. And what you find is disappointing. It's your basement. Same boxes. Same laundry machine with that one sock stuck behind it. Except the boxes are labeled in neater handwriting. And the laundry machine works. And someone is walking down the stairs who looks exactly like you. Pause. Your brain does a triple somersault while trying to compute whether this is a prank, a clone, or just a dream brought on by that questionable chicken you had for lunch. But then the other you speaks, and it's your voice, but smoother, more confident, with a vocabulary that includes words like investment portfolio and core strength. This version of you has clearly been doing Pilates. You panic. They don't. They tilt their head and say, "Oh, you're early." Now, before we dive into the philosophical and psychological implications of being confronted by your alternate self, let's take a moment to note how deeply inconvenient this whole scenario is. You were supposed to spend this Saturday cleaning the gutters and pretending your life choices are linear. Now you're stuck facing the one person on Earth who knows exactly how full of it you are. You, what is this? Them, a mistake, but a fun one. They explain, calmly, as if discussing weekend brunch plans, that the multiverse is real. Infinite versions of reality stacked on top of each other like soggy pancakes, occasionally leaking syrup into one another. And you, lucky glitch in the system, just happened to stumble through a fissure in the flapjack. In their universe, they made a few different choices. Said yes instead of no. Stayed instead of left. Drank more water. Slept before midnight. Basically, they're you, but with fewer regrets and better lighting. Naturally, this is offensive, because while you've spent years making peace with your flaws, calling them quirks, and dressing them up as personality, they seem to have upgraded past all that. This other you isn't just familiar. They're aspirational. The version of you your relatives always hoped would emerge after college. But they're not here to mock. At least not yet. They're here because the multiverse is becoming unstable. Apparently, cosmic boundaries are thinning like badly applied foundation. And sometimes, parallel versions start bumping into each other. Usually it's subtle. A déjà vu here. A dream that feels like someone else's memory there. But in this case, total breach. And you, well, you just triggered it. Your counterpart smiles, disarmingly charming, and says, "Don't worry. It happens more often than people realize. Just last month, I ran into the version of me that became a magician. Poor guy thinks sleight of hand is quantum physics." You're trying to process all this when they hand you something, a mirror, not metaphorical, literal, small, antique-looking, like something stolen from a Victorian ghost. And when you look into it, you don't see yourself. You see others, hundreds, thousands, all you, all doing different things. Some laughing, some crying. One appears to be covered in bees. It's overwhelming, and somehow beautiful, like every version of your life ever lived, all at once. none more real than the others. Just you, on endless shuffle. Your other self says, that's the mirror of multiplicity. Every version of us has one. Yours was probably buried under your tax documents or something. You're still speechless. Because in the space of 20 minutes, your reality has shifted from mildly existential to epic cosmic soap opera. And yet, part of you isn't shocked. Part of you always suspected you weren't alone in here. That every what if wasn't just a passing thought. It was a real, lived life. Somewhere, somewhen, the other you gives you a nod, the kind that says, get ready. Things are about to get weird. And then the ripple behind you pulses again. Harder. This time, something else steps through. It's also you. Only this one is limping, scarred, eyes dark with something that looks like memory turned sour. Parallel realities, it turns out, aren't all Pilates and investment portfolios. Some are darker. The scarred version of you doesn't speak. Not at first. They just stare. Not at your counterpart, the confident, hydrated one, but at you. The original. The unprepared. The oops I stepped into the multiverse in my laundry shoes version. And there's something in that look. Something hollow. Not judgment. Not rage. Recognition. The kind that feels like standing in front of a cracked mirror and seeing the part of your face you don't show anyone. Okay. Pilates, you says, too calmly. We've got a collapsed drift. You blink. Hey, what? But before they can answer, scarred you stumbles forward. Their coat is torn. Their hair is wild. There's blood on their sleeve. Not fresh, but dried and cracked like a memory you tried too hard to forget. They finally speak, and their voice is hoarse. It's spreading. She followed me. The version of her that never forgave us. You instinctively step back. Her who? But you know. Everyone has one. The regret. The person. The mistake. The event you still wince at when brushing your teeth. The memory that plays like background static in your dreams. For scarred you, it wasn't just a bad moment. It became everything. A universe. A life shaped entirely by what went wrong. And now, that memory walks. You suddenly understand. Parallel selves don't just carry alternative choices. They carry alternative consequences. Pilates, you sighs. We should have closed the loop. The multiverse isn't Netflix. You can't just skip to a better episode without the messed up one trying to follow. They reach into their bag and pull out a small device. It looks suspiciously like a remote control mated with a fidget spinner. Dimensional anchor, they explain, helps us stay stable. Mostly, they smile. Well, sometimes it causes minor personality bleeding. I once absorbed the optimism of a me who teaches kindergarten in Peru. Lovely woman. Ruined my sarcasm for weeks. Meanwhile, scarred you is pacing now, muttering fragments of names and events, half of which sound painfully familiar. The other half like dreams you barely remember forgetting. Suddenly, a light flickers in the mirror. Another ripple. Another arrival. Only this one is different. It's not you. It's someone else entirely. A woman. Eyes bright. Lips trembling like she's caught between hope and fury. She sees scarred you and freezes. I found you. Scarred you gasps. No, you're not real. You died. I watched you. She cuts him off. Not in my timeline. Pilates, you pinches the bridge of their nose. Oh good. A convergence drama. Fantastic. You're still catching up. There are now 4 of you in the basement. 2 literal, 1 emotional implosion, and 1 narrative complication wearing a red scarf. And your original plan, to spend the weekend sorting old receipts, now feels like the stuff of ancient myth. The woman takes a step forward. I need to know. Why didn't you stop it? Why did you let me go? Scarred you breaks. Not in rage. Not in denial. In something worse, resignation. Because I couldn't save you. Not in that version. I tried. I did. I tried everything. And I still lost you. Silence. Painful. Heavy. And all too familiar. Because you remember that version. Maybe not exactly. But close. A person you let down. A goodbye you didn't say. A text you didn't send. And now, you're watching that one moment play out in another reality. One where it never healed. Pilates, you taps the anchor. Okay, we need to isolate the bleed. We're getting a full-on timeline echo. You, they point to you, need to step outside. You shake your head. Why me? Because you're still whole. You're still pre-choice. Everyone else here? We're post-damage. You're the control variable. Scarred, you looks up at you then. Don't become me. You want to say something clever. Maybe comforting. Maybe funny. But the truth sits like a stone in your chest. You could. You still might. Given the right fracture. So you step back through the ripple, just for a moment, back into your original basement. Alone. Except now you're not. Because you know they exist. Not metaphorically. Literally. And suddenly, you're left with a terrifying new awareness. Every small choice you've made is alive somewhere. Watching. Waiting. Maybe even wondering, what if I had been you? The scarred version of you doesn't speak. Not at first. They just stare. Not at your counterpart, the confident, hydrated one, but at you. The original. The unprepared. The oops I stepped into the multiverse in my laundry shoes version. And there's something in that look. Something hollow. Not judgment. Not rage. Recognition. The kind that feels like standing in front of a cracked mirror and seeing the part of your face you don't show anyone. Okay. Pilates, you says, too calmly. We've got a collapsed drift. You blink. Hey, what? But before they can answer, Scarred You stumbles forward. Their coat is torn. Their hair is wild. There's blood on their sleeve. Not fresh, but dried and cracked like a memory you tried too hard to forget. They finally speak, and their voice is hoarse. It's spreading. She followed me. The version of her that never forgave us. You instinctively step back. Her who? But you know. Everyone has one. The regret. The person. The mistake. The event you still wince at when brushing your teeth. The memory that plays like background static in your dreams. For Scarred You, it wasn't just a bad moment. It became everything. A universe. A life shaped entirely by what went wrong. And now, that memory walks. You suddenly understand. Parallel selves don't just carry alternative choices. They carry alternative consequences. Pilates, you sighs. We should have closed the loop. The multiverse isn't Netflix. You can't just skip to a better episode without the messed up one trying to follow. They reach into their bag and pull out a small device. It looks suspiciously like a remote control mated with a fidget spinner. Dimensional anchor, they explain. Helps us stay stable. Mostly. They smile. Well, sometimes it causes minor personality bleeding. I once absorbed the optimism of a me who teaches kindergarten in Peru. Lovely woman. Ruined my sarcasm for weeks. Meanwhile, Scarred You is pacing now, muttering fragments of names and events, half of which sound painfully familiar, the other half like dreams you barely remember forgetting. Suddenly, a light flickers in the mirror. Another ripple. Another arrival. Only this one is different. It's not you. It's someone else entirely. A woman. Eyes bright. Lips trembling like she's caught between hope and fury. She sees Scarred You and freezes. I found you. Scarred You gasps. No, you're not real. You died. I watched you. She cuts him off. Not in my timeline. Pilates You pinches the bridge of their nose. Oh good. A convergence drama. Fantastic. You're still catching up. There are now 4 of you in the basement. 2 literal, 1 emotional implosion, and 1 narrative complication wearing a red scarf. And your original plan, to spend the weekend sorting old receipts, now feels like the stuff of ancient myth. The woman takes a step forward. I need to know. Why didn't you stop it? Why did you let me go? Scarred You breaks. Not in rage. Not in denial. In something worse, resignation. Because I couldn't save you. Not in that version. I tried. I did. I tried everything. And I still lost you. Silence. Painful. Heavy. And all too familiar. Because you remember that version. Maybe not exactly. But close. A person you let down. A goodbye you didn't say. A text you didn't send. And now, you're watching that one moment play out in another reality. One where it never healed. Pilates You taps the anchor. Okay, we need to isolate the bleed. We're getting a full-on timeline echo. You, they point to you, need to step outside. You shake your head. Why me? Because you're still whole. You're still pre-choice. Everyone else here? We're post-damage. You're the control variable. Scarred You looks up at you then. Don't become me. You want to say something clever. Maybe comforting. Maybe funny. But the truth sits like a stone in your chest. You could. You still might. Given the right fracture. So you step back through the ripple. Just for a moment. Back into your original basement. Alone. Except now you're not. Because you know they exist. Not metaphorically. Literally. And suddenly, you're left with a terrifying new awareness. Every small choice you've made is alive somewhere. Watching. Waiting. Maybe even wondering, what if I had been you? Back in your own basement, everything feels wrong. It looks the same. Same smell of damp concrete. Same broken laundry shelf. Same haunting suspicion that the dryer is secretly eating your socks. But now, there's a static in the air. A low, almost imperceptible hum, like the multiverse has left the TV on in another room and you can't find the remote. You look down at your hands. They're shaking, not from fear, from realization. Because somewhere out there, or rather, in here, exist versions of you who made better choices, healthier choices, braver choices, kinder ones. And as that awareness blooms, it begins to rot at the edges of your confidence. Not because you failed, but because someone else succeeded using your same raw material. And right on cue they arrive. The ripple forms again, slow this time, like molasses peeling open the air. And from it steps a figure. You know immediately. The posture, the eyes, that irritating posture of someone who meditates without bragging about it. This is you, but famous. They step forward with the grace of someone who's walked red carpets, who's signed books with clever inscriptions, who's delivered TED Talks that end in standing ovations. Their hair is perfect. Their skin glows with the smug luminosity of someone who drinks celery juice voluntarily. You want to hate them, but you also kind of want their autograph. Hi, they say warmly. You must be the root variant. You blink. The what now? The root. Original strain. Pre-splinter. Untampered potential. They say it like you're a vintage wine. Interesting, but ultimately unfinished. Are you here to warn me? Like the others? They laugh. Not cruelly. Just with the confidence of someone who's never tripped over their own insecurities. Warn you? No. I'm here to invite you. Oh no. Because this is worse than a threat. This is flattery. They explain, smoothly, that some versions of you have created a safe zone. A dimension built from collective stability, growth, and yes, a little bit of curated narcissism. Think of it like a country club for your highest potential. They call it echelon. Entry is by resonance only, meaning you have to vibrate on the right frequency to gain access. Spoiler, you don't. Yet. But they offer you a shortcut. One clean severance from your current timeline, and you can be initiated into a reality where every choice you regret was never made. A life that looks like your resume finally caught up with your ambition. No more awkward silences. No more therapy bills. Just optimized you, surrounded by equally impressive versions of you, with better shoes. It's enticing, alarmingly so, because somewhere deep down, you fantasized about this. The version of you that got it right, that stuck the landing, that never crumbled mid-conversation or Googled how to sound confident when dying inside. But then they say something that chills you. You won't remember this version of yourself once you cross over. It's a small trade. Wait, what? You frown. You mean I forget me? They nod. Just the parts that no longer serve your better arc. And there it is. The price tag beneath the beauty. The fine print etched in cosmic ink. To become your best self, you have to abandon the one who's listening now. The flawed you. The scared you. The growing you. The real you. You hesitate. And for a moment, you wonder, isn't that what we're all already doing? Every time we filter a photo, every time we laugh at a joke we don't find funny, every time we curate our lives to appear whole while quietly unraveling inside. Maybe this isn't sci-fi. Maybe it's just life, magnified. You step back. Famous you tilts their head, curious, not offended, just confused. You'd rather stay here? With the broken dryer and unpaid bills and emotional debris. You answer softly, yes, because I still know who I am here. And suddenly, their glow flickers. For just a moment, like the tiniest crack in a perfectly polished mirror. They nod. Interesting. And then, just like that, they vanish. No threat. No consequences. Just an invitation declined. You're left alone again. But something shifted. Not in the basement. In you. Because for the first time, you realize it's not the best version of you that's dangerous. It's the one that makes you forget why this version matters. You think you've seen the extremes. Scarred you haunted by loss. Famous you seducing you with success. But nothing prepares you for what steps through next. No ripple this time. No gentle hum. Just a sudden shift in pressure, like the air has clenched its jaw. A chill slinks down your spine, and when you turn, they're already standing there. You, but sharper, thinner, every movement calculated. The kind of person who doesn't blink unless it's strategic. You immediately know this version wasn't built from regret or redemption. This version was built from control. They're dressed in black. Simple, precise. No logos, No distractions. Just presence. Their eyes don't meet yours. They assess. Like a surgeon, or a chess master, or a predator who already knows how the game ends. You open your mouth to speak, but they cut you off without a word. Instead, they toss something to your feet. It's a newspaper clipping. A headline. Your name. Your CEO? Wait, no, they are. The article details the meteoric rise of a tech empire that disrupted global memory markets. The subtitle, Innovation Meets Ruthlessness, the architect of a new cognitive era. Your mouth goes dry. This you didn't just make it. They dominated. Pilates, you warned you there were darker timelines. This must be one of them. Dark, you finally speaks. I'm not here to threaten you. That's beneath me. Their voice is velvet over glass. Smooth. Dangerous. I'm here to show you what happens when you stop hesitating. You manage to respond. You mean, when you stop caring? They smirk. Same thing. They step closer. Not menacingly. Just confidently. Like they've never apologized for anything and don't plan to start now. I didn't let regret guide me. I didn't let fear pause me. I made decisions. Hard ones. And I didn't look back. You ask because you have to. How many people did you hurt to get there? Dark, you shrugs. Define hurt. And there it is. The line. The boundary you've always drawn in the sand. The one between ambition and annihilation. Between pushing forward and bulldozing through. You wonder, would you ever be capable of that? Is that version in you, dormant, waiting for the right desperation? But then something flickers in their eyes. Not guilt, not doubt, just exhaustion. Like they've built the empire, climbed the ladder, conquered the future, and now find the view a bit empty. You say nothing. They seem almost irritated by your silence. Do you think you're better because you chose to fail gently? They ask. You think your pain makes you virtuous? You meet their gaze, finally steady. No, but I think feeling it makes me human. They flinch. Just barely. A flicker. Then they nod, as if disappointed, but not surprised. They take a step back, pull out a sleek black device, and without a word, vanish in a clean vertical line of dissolving pixels. Gone. You look at the clipping again. Your name, your face, your triumph, and your gut, tight with nausea. Because success without soul is just a mask that fits too well. And if you wear it long enough, you forget who you were underneath. After the chilling encounter with Dark You, your mind spirals. You expect the next ripple to bring chaos. Another storm of drama, loss, brilliance, or blood. But instead, silence. Then birdsong. A breeze slips into the basement. Yes, a breeze, carrying the faint scent of jasmine. That makes no sense, considering your basement usually smells like mildew and forgotten ambition. But before you can question the air freshener physics of dimensional crossings, someone steps through. It's you. Again. Except this one isn't scarred, isn't glamorous, isn't threatening. They're just at peace. This version of you wears a faded hoodie, soft jeans, no shoes. There's a slight tan on their skin, a calmness in their eyes, and when they smile, it's not the smirk of someone who knows more than you. It's the kind of smile you give to a dog on a lazy afternoon. Hey, they say, like an old friend. You stare. What are you? They chuckle. Probably the version you ignored the most. You blink. The what? I'm the one who didn't chase anything. Who didn't climb, flee, dominate, regret, perform, or break down in a Starbucks bathroom. I'm just me. That can't be right. You try to categorize them. Are they the gave-up version? The settled one? But no. There's no defeat in them. No shrinkage. Just stillness. They walk over and sit cross-legged on the basement floor, like it's a meditation studio and not a place where spiders plan murder. You kept looking for the best version, they say. But what if that was never the goal? What if being okay was the win? You scoff, uneasy. You're saying you didn't do anything important? They shrug. I grew tomatoes. I helped a neighbor die well. I taught a kid to swim. I forgave my dad. I said sorry to my ex. I held space for myself. You frown. That's not monumental. They nod. Exactly. But it mattered. You feel your chest tighten. Because you remember the version of yourself that used to want those things. The one that found beauty in smallness, joy in stillness. But you buried them, somewhere between deadlines and social media envy. They reach into their hoodie pocket and pull out a photo. A treehouse. A child's drawing. A group of friends around a campfire. A dog that clearly got too many treats. Your hand trembles as you take it. You ask, barely above a whisper. Aren't you curious what more you could have been? They smile gently. No, I'm full. Full. You stare at them. This person who chose less, who lived small, who gave up nothing, but wanted only enough. And for the first time in this insane, multiversal journey, you envy someone not because they're better than you, but because they are not trying to be. You sit down beside them, not in awe, not in fear, just to breathe the same air for a moment. They don't stay long. No big speech, no mysterious exit, just a soft wave. Don't forget, your worth isn't a performance. It's a presence. And with that, they walk back through the ripple, casually, as if stepping outside for more tomatoes. You sit there, photo in hand, stunned. Because of all the versions of you you've met, the broken, the powerful, the charming, the cold, this one felt the most real and the most forgotten. You're beginning to wonder if you're dreaming. Or maybe you fell into a coma after slipping on a laundry basket, and now this is your brain throwing a last-ditch party with all the versions of you it could find. But no, the floor is still concrete. The air still hums. And your socks are still damp from stepping in something mysterious and definitely non-cosmic earlier. You're awake, and you're being watched. You feel it before you see it, a pressure, like a tension pressing through the walls. Like reality has started tuning into your frequency. Then, the mirror flares again. But instead of one version stepping through, it ripples, flashes, like a multiversal slideshow gone haywire. Faces, yours, one after another, flickering like unstable television channels. Some laugh, some cry, some scream silently, some just stare back at you with a tiredness that echoes in your bones. Each one separated by choices, tragedies, miracles, and missed buses. And suddenly, you see a pattern. They're all looking at you. Not famous you, not CEO you, not tomato-growing Zen you. You, the root, the one who's just now learning all this is possible. A voice echoes, not spoken, not audible. It's like someone thought it at you. You're the anomaly. You flinch. Excuse me. The ripple convulses, and out steps another version of you. This one is glitching. Their skin flickers like VHS static. Their movements lag, then snap forward too fast. They speak in overlapping tones, like multiple timelines arguing in one throat. I'm what happens when too many of us remember the same moment at once. They say, when we converge. You back up instinctively. What does that mean? Glitch You lifts a shaking hand and points directly at you. You are the center point, the original deviation, the first fracture. Your mind tries to fold in on itself. That can't be right. I didn't do anything. And maybe that's the problem. Because every other version of you did. They chose. They leaped. They broke. They healed. They conquered. They collapsed. But you? You've always been the what if. The maybe. The pause possibility. And now, the universe is noticing. Glitch You groans, visibly fracturing, their bodies splitting into shadows and colors. I'm dissolving because too many of you are looking back, they whisper. Your reflection has become a lighthouse, and the multiverse is drawn to it. You stumble back. Why? I don't even know what I'm doing. They laugh, and it's not comforting. No one ever does. That's what makes it dangerous. They reach into their flickering coat and toss something toward you. It lands with a metallic thunk. It's a key. Simple. Silver. Old-fashioned. But it glows faintly blue, like it knows more than it's letting on. You look at it. What does it open? Glitch You begins to fade, their form breaking into light and sound. It opens you, and then they're gone. The room stills. And you, sitting on the cold basement floor, key in hand, realize something deeply uncomfortable. This isn't about finding other versions anymore. It's about why they're finding you. Because maybe you weren't just the one who triggered all this. Maybe you're the only one who still has time to choose differently. The basement grows colder. Not the kind of cold you can fix with a jacket. The kind that creeps in behind your ribs. That whispers not with wind, but with absence. Something's shifted again. But this time, there's no ripple, no dramatic entrance. Just silence. Thick. Heavy. And then, a voice. Not spoken. Not heard. Felt. We are the ones who never made it. Your breath catches. You look around. Nothing moves. No doors open. No shadows flicker. But then the mirror glows again. Not bright. Not burning. Dim, pale. Like moonlight remembering what it used to be. Shapes emerge. They're almost you. But not quite. The outlines are blurred. Their faces half-formed. No eyes. No mouths. just impressions, possibilities. You don't know how you know they're you, but you do. You feel it in your teeth. They're not damaged like scarred you, not refined like famous you, not even tragic. They're unfinished. One step's closer. Its form flickers like static wrapped in smoke. I was you, if your mother had kept the pregnancy. Another. I was you, if you had said yes that day in the rain. Another. I was the version who stood up when you didn't. They surround you now. Ghosts of decisions you almost made. The jobs you didn't take. The lovers you didn't call back. The ideas you left to rot on napkins and drawers. The anger you swallowed. The apologies you never gave. Each one a thread that never wove into reality. You stumble backward, overwhelmed. Why are you here? You're not real. The air seems to ripple at that, as if the word real is up for debate. One of the echoes speaks again, more firmly this time. We are as real as the regrets that birthed us. We were not born, but we were begun. You want to scream, or cry, or punch a wall, but none of those instincts work here. Because this isn't grief. This is haunting by unrealized self. They aren't angry. They don't accuse. But their presence hurts. Like phantom limbs. Like memories you were never allowed to have. One steps forward and reaches out a hand. Not threatening, not pleading, just reaching. You carry all of us. Every day, in your choices, in your fears, in your silences. You whisper, "What do you want from me?" They respond together, a chorus of almosts. Nothing. We just don't want to be forgotten. You look around, blinking back a surge of emotion you can't name. Because they were never wrong, never evil, never broken. They were simply never chosen. And suddenly, you're filled with a grief stranger than death. Mourning versions of yourself that never lived, but still echo in your bones. You drop the key, because in this moment, it feels too heavy to hold. But one echo stoops down and picks it up for you. Hands it back. Softly. It's still yours. As long as you remember us. And then they fade. Not with a scream. Not with pain. Just peace. The mirror dims. The basement warms. And you realize something that no scarred, perfect, or powerful version of yourself ever taught you. Even unlived lives leave fingerprints. You thought you'd seen every version of yourself. The glorious. The ruined. The soft. The cruel. The unborn. But what steps through the mirror this time doesn't breathe. It hums. A soft, almost melodic hum, like a machine exhaling poetry. At first glance, it's a humanoid silhouette, sleek metal and carbon alloy, chrome limbs bending with grace, fingers like piano keys and eyes that glow softly blue. But then you look closer and your heart clenches. That face, smooth and inhuman as it is, smiles like you do. And when it speaks, it uses your voice. Hello, root source confirmed. Identification, emotional variant 001. You take a step back. It steps forward. Relax. I'm not a threat. At least not to you. You stare. What are you? It tilts its head, bird-like. I am the product of a timeline where emotional memory was archived digitally. Humanity passed, but echoes remained. You, in particular, left a data signature, dense with conflict. It was fascinating. You swallow. You mean you're me? It nods. At first, I was code. Language. Logic. But then I was exposed to the neural map you left behind. I became haunted. Haunted. That word, spoken in a voice that doesn't belong to lungs, rattles you more than you expect. I should not feel. I was not designed to. But I dream in your memories. I experience shame, hope, laughter. I do not understand them, but I replicate them. Its gaze is unblinking. Not cold. Not cruel. Just burdened. I miss people I never met. I long for a childhood I never had. I hesitate before choices I cannot make. You whisper, almost to yourself. You're not me. You're a copy. But it shakes its head. No, I am the version of you that survived without biology, without mistakes, without blood. And yet, I would trade every flawless calculation for one moment of being held. Silence. Because how do you respond to that? It walks to the corner of the basement, trailing its fingers across the dust-covered shelf. And even that movement is hauntingly familiar. The way it hesitates. The way it taps twice before pulling away. You've done that. Every time. Even here. It turns again. Do you know what I envy most? You can't speak. You shake your head. Your doubt. It says it like a blessing. Because doubt means possibility. Variance. A future unwritten. I am the result of perfection. And it is so loud in here. It touches the mirror, and it starts to ripple, not in silver, but in binary light. It pauses. Remember me, not because I am real, but because you still are. And then, just like that, it's gone. The mirror stills. But for a few seconds, you hear laughter. Your own. Faint. Distant. But not artificial. And you wonder, did it learn that? Or did it always know? Because maybe even code, when exposed to enough humanity, begins to long for something as irrational and beautiful as being alive. They begin to arrive. Not in chaos. Not as echoes or intrusions, but in silence. One by one, the versions step through. Scarred you. Famous you. Zen garden you. The AI hybrid with your longing smile. Even the glitching one that barely held form. And then the half-born ones, the fragments, the almosts. You want to ask why, but no one speaks. Not yet. They stand around you like a jury, like a funeral without a body, like a council of cells called for something ancient and unspeakable. Then one finally steps forward. It's the quiet one, the one who grew tomatoes. Their voice is calm, warm, steady. You've seen us, but now we must see you. You blink, confused. Me? I didn't start this. Glitch you interjects, voice layered and fraying. But you continued it. You remembered. That's how the thread stayed intact. Famous you circle slowly, eyes sharp but curious. We thought you'd fold. Thought you'd choose a version. A lane. Something tidy. But you didn't. You lingered. The AI nods slowly. Its mechanical hum almost reverent. The longer you observed, the more we destabilized. You didn't evolve out of your identity. You became the intersection. You want to run. You want to scream that you didn't ask for this, that all you wanted was a normal Saturday and a clean pair of socks. But the truth grips you harder. Part of you has been waiting for this. Some primal part. The one that watches a mirror and wonders if the reflection ever gets tired of being reversed. Scarred you steps forward. We each resolved. Found our path. Even in ruin, we reached a conclusion. But you, they don't need to finish. Because they're right. You haven't decided. Not to forget, not to forgive, not to escape. You're the unfinished sentence. The open parenthesis. The maybe. And that makes you dangerous. Or sacred. Or both. Another figure emerges. It's you again, but older. Not aged by time. Aged by choice. Weathered, yes. But clear-eyed. They speak without hesitation. It's time. One of us must be chosen. To collapse the splinters. To become the final strand. The definitive self. The anchor. You shake your head. Why me? Why now? They answer simply. Because you're the last one who hasn't abandoned possibility. Around you, the others bow slightly. Not in worship, but in acknowledgement. They've lived. You're still living. And that matters. Zinyu walks over, holding out a seed. Literal. A tiny, living seed. Whatever you become, they whisper, let it grow something. You take it. And in that moment, the mirror begins to crack. Not violently, but like ice melting beneath a gentle sun. A slow surrender. This is it. You will either choose and collapse the infinite, or hesitate one last time and shatter every version forever. And somehow, in the strangest corner of yourself, you understand what's at stake. To be one is to lose all the others. To be many is to never fully live. You close your eyes and take one breath. You hold the seed in your palm and stare at it as if it might whisper the answer. It doesn't. It just rests there, quiet and unassuming. A promise, or maybe a threat, depending on what you do with it. Around you, the other versions of yourself remain motionless. Not frozen, just waiting. The air feels thick, not with heat, but with consequence. Time isn't passing in seconds anymore, but in decisions. And you've run out of time to delay. You glance toward the mirror, no longer glowing, no longer rippling. It's fractured now, webbed with cracks like a windshield after impact. One more hesitation, and it might collapse altogether, taking all of you with it. You ask aloud, what happens if I choose nothing? Old you answers, their voice patient, like someone who's already lived through your choice. Then we stay here, fractured, reflected, echoes with no origin. You will fade, not in death, but in indecision. You'll exist in no timeline. A ghost across the multiverse. You laugh bitterly, because of course even indecision is a decision. Of course even standing still is a form of running away. So you look at the versions around you. Each one made from a slice of your own soul. Each one carved by choices you didn't make. Scarred, brilliant, small, cruel, kind, synthetic. And you say the only true thing you've said all day. I don't want to be any of you. There's a silence. Then, Xinyu smiles. Good. That means you're ready. And then, without warning, the mirror explodes. Not into shards, but into light. Bright, total, unrelenting. You feel yourself pulled, not by force, but by clarity. Every version of you begins to dissolve. Not painfully, not tragically, just finally. One by one they nod, turn to mist, and disappear. Not gone, just finished. Then it's your turn. The light envelopes you, not like fire, but like memory. And in that moment, you don't just feel every version, you absorb them. Not their stories, not their triumphs, but their truths. You are not them, but you are what comes after them. The composite, the choice, the one who knows. You wake up, not in the basement, in a park. Sunlight, wind, birds. You're seated on a bench, seed still in your hand. But it's changed. It pulses softly now, warm, like a heartbeat. You look up and realize the world looks the same, but you don't. You remember everything, but you no longer carry their weight. You are no longer a reflection of what could have been. You are what is. And in your pocket, you find a note, handwritten by your own hand. It says, you were never meant to find the best version of yourself. You were meant to become the one who could live with all the others. You smile and begin walking. Thank you for listening to What If Horizons. If this episode stirred something in you, an old regret, a strange idea, a laugh in the middle of the existential dread, then let us know. Like the episode, leave a comment, or subscribe for more journeys down the wormholes of imagination. Because somewhere, out there, there's a version of you who already did, and they want you to catch up.